Hi, my name is Mr. B, like in Honey Bee, not Bumblebee. I'm going to read you a story today, a true story, by the way, about an incredible kid. She lives on the other side of the world and still doing some things. Her name is Malala. That's her first name. And the book's called Malala's Magic Pencil. Let's find out about Malala. First thing about her, she's wondering, and I'm asking you too, do you believe in magic? Malala is saying, when I was younger, I used to watch a TV show about a boy who had a magic pencil. If he was hungry, he drew a bowl of curry and it appeared. Curry's a kind of a food. If he and his friends were in danger, he drew a police officer. The boy was a little hero, always protecting people who needed help. How I wanted a magic pencil too. If I had a magic pencil, I would use it to put a lock on my door so my brothers couldn't bother me, stop time so I could sleep an extra hour every morning, or erase the smell of the trash dump near our house. And I would use it to make other people happy. I think Malala may be a very kind person. I would draw the most beautiful dresses in the world for my mother, and the best buildings in the valley for my father so he could open many schools where children could study for free. And I would use my magic pencil to make a proper ball so my brothers and I no longer had to play with an old sock stuffed with rubbish. Every night before I went to bed, I wished for a magic pencil of my own. And every morning, I would wake up and check my cupboard, but the magic pencil was never there. One day, I was throwing away potato peels and eggshells at the dump. I was wrinkling my nose and swatting away flies and making sure I didn't step on anything dirty in my nice shoes, when I saw a girl about my age sorting trash into piles, and nearby boys were fishing for metal scraps using magnets on strings. I wonder why those kids are up on a pile of trash like that, picking out metal and doing what they're doing up there. What's your guess on that? Why are those kids, they just playing there? When my father returned home from work, I told him what I'd seen, and it made him sad. Abba, I said. Yes, Johnny, he said back. That's what he called her. I always liked it when he called me dear one. Why haven't I seen that girl in my class? Because, he said, but he didn't finish right away. Because, Johnny, in our country, not everyone sends their daughters to school. And some children must work to support their families. Those boys will sell the metal scraps they find. If they went to school, their families would go hungry. School was my favorite place, but I'd never considered myself lucky to be able to go. See how sad her father looks for having to tell her that. My father had always said, Malala will live free as a bird. Now I wondered how free I'd truly be. That night I thought about families who didn't have enough food, and the girl who couldn't go to school, and even about when I was older I would be expected to cook and clean for my brothers, because where I came from, many girls weren't allowed to become what they dreamed of. I knew then that if I had the magic pencil, I would use it to draw a better world, a peaceful world. See how she's starting to think already about people other than herself. First, I would erase war, poverty, and hunger, and then I would draw boys and girls together as equals. Over the next few years, instead of wishing for a magic pencil every night, I worked hard in school every day. I wanted to be one of the top students in my class. And you can kind of tell the way the other girls are looking at her, how they respect her for wanting to learn so much. But soon, powerful and dangerous men declared that girls were forbidden from attending school. They walked the streets of our city now, and they carried weapons. One by one, the girls stopped coming to school. Abba, This is what she called her father. Where are all the students? And he's saying to her, they don't feel safe here anymore, Johnny. How could a few men stop all the girls in our valley from going to school? If more people knew what was happening to us, I thought they might help. Look, there's almost nobody in the classroom now. No girls. Wishing wasn't enough. Someone needed to speak out. Why not me? I wrote about what it felt like to be scared to walk to school and how some of my friends had moved away because of the threat they faced in our city. I wrote about how much I loved school and how proud I was of my uniform. Once I started writing, I didn't stop. I wrote speeches and traveled around my country sharing my story. I even talked to a reporter from a famous international newspaper. People actually wanted to learn about my life. I spoke for all the girls in my valley who couldn't speak for themselves. My voice became so powerful that the dangerous men tried to silence me, but they failed. And now my voice is louder than ever. Louder because people have joined me, and together we make a chorus standing up for what we believe. We raise our voices for those in need and help people in danger even if they are an ocean away. And Malala thinks this. She said, think of the world as a family. Do you still believe in magic? I do. Do you see her there with her pencil? It is a magic pencil, isn't it? Because she can write these wonderful things. I wrote alone in my room, but people all over the world were reading my story. Millions now know it and help me spread my message of hope. At last, I had found the magic I was looking for in my words and in my work. I am Malala. I've always wished I could make the world a more peaceful place. And every day I work to make my wish come true. She's now speaking in a famous place in New York City to people from all over the world. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. So, what'd you think about Malala? It's kind of strange, isn't it? I just read you a story about a place that girls couldn't go to school, and yet there are places in the world like that that are still that way. And she didn't like that, and as a kid that took a lot of courage, didn't it, to write those stories when those men were in the town with guns and things, and they did try to stop her. One day they took her off the school bus on the way to school and tried to hurt her, but she lived. People all over the world knew how brave she was, and more people wanted to hear her story. Sometimes you think how kind she was and how she's making a difference to hundreds of millions of girls all over the world. And you might be thinking, well, I'm never going to be that famous or powerful or important. And yet, I think, it doesn't matter if you save everybody or are kind to everybody. Just in your corner of the world, you be as kind as you can. And you don't have to save everybody. Speaking of kindness, do you know what this is? It's real, by the way. It's not alive anymore. I didn't kill it. I found it. This is a starfish. And we don't have them around here. They live in the ocean or on shallow water and beaches. And I'm going to tell you what's known as the starfish story. It's one of my favorite stories. Here it is. One day along an ocean in the United States, part of an ocean where there weren't a lot of bathers and boats and people. It was more remote. There was nobody around. A boy woke up early one morning and he decided to go for a walk and see what might be along the ocean in the early morning, what kind of animals and whatnot might be there. So he set out and he was walking along the beach and there was nobody around, and he looked ahead of him and he noticed that way up ahead of him there was something moving, walking on the beach, and he thought it might be an animal, so he heard his pace. And as he got closer, he noticed it was an old man. As he got a little bit closer, he noticed that every now and then the old man would reach down on the beach and pick up something and then throw it in the water. And it made him curious what he was throwing in the water, so he got really close to the old man and noticed that the old man would pick up a starfish that was on the beach, look at it, and then fling it out into the ocean. And he was very curious to why the old man was throwing starfish and maybe not stones or pieces of wood out there. So he got next to the old man and said, you know, I've been following you up the beach, and I noticed that every now and then you pick up a starfish and you fling it in the ocean. Why are you doing that? And at that moment, the old man picked up another starfish and threw it in the water. And the boy then looked ahead up on the beach ahead of them, and there were like thousands and millions of starfish all over the beach. And the old man said, well, it's morning now, and the sun's going to come out, and some of these starfish won't be able to get back in the water, and the sun will dry them out and kill them. And so the old man said, he picked up another starfish and threw it in the water. And the boy said, wait a minute, there are millions of starfish. What difference can you make? And the old man picked up a starfish and flung it out in the water and said, well, it'll make a difference to this one. So you see, you don't have to save everybody. You can just maybe one person at a time, one starfish at a time, and you'll make so much difference in the whole world. You are special.